All right, buddy. Where are we going this week? How about a little place? It's not very little, but it's a place where they speak Deutsch in Deutschland. And in English, what do we call that? You know? Go ahead, tell us. Germany. Germany, that's right, the fatherland. And why are we going back to Germany? Well, because we've got a Summicron 50mm f2 version 4 we haven't talked about yet. But I'm not going to just focus on this. I'm going to actually compare it with the version 3 that we have to see what the big difference is.
Holy crap!
You think there's a big difference? Nah, it's not that big, but it's big enough. Big enough to make a video about anyway. So let's learn about it all together, right? Grab yourself something to eat or drink, get yourself comfortable. And let's get it on.
Here I am in Vietnam. Rain is always coming down.
This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott and Dylan. That's right. Dylan and I are back for another episode of Camera Talk. This week we are having another visit from Leica Man in Vietnam. That's right. Here we are, Vietnam, and here we are talking about Leica. And you know, just as much as everybody's like, "Oh my God, Leica! That's how modesty photography is that?" You know, it's not budget, it's not this and that. But today we're going to be talking about the Summicron 50mm f2. And that's kind of one of their more economical lines, if you want to call it that. And even more so because we're talking about some vintage Summicrons. I'm going to be comparing my version 3, which I've done a video about already, with version 4, which I have not done a video about yet. So we're just going to, instead of jumping into version 4, we're going to do a comparison, because that's really where there's a fork in the road, version 3 versus version 4. Because the version 4 is actually the same optical formula as version 5, which is still for sale today, brand new by Leica. So it's got a barrel redesign, but otherwise the optics are exactly the same. So anyway, that's what we're going to be looking at today. And the other commonality between the two is that they were both designed by very famous lens manufacturer, a lens designer named Dr. Walter Mandler. That's right, you've heard of Mandler. It's a Mandler glow or the Mandler lens. You know, he was the Noctilux F1 man. You know, everybody's like, "Ooh, the F1 was cool," until, of course, Peter's version with the 095 kind of knocked that out of the park. But anyway, for the longest time, Mandler was the man.
I'm the dude.
So anyhow, I mean, you know, Mandler designed over 45 lenses for Leica. That's a lot. You know, he was around, just to go back in history for a bit. I say, hey, let's put you over to the side here. So, you know, blocking everybody's way. Me bopping my head from side to side. Do a little beep-bopping, huh? But anyway, Walter joined, at the time, the company was called Ernst Leitz, back in 1947, when he was just a young lad. And, you and he wanted to work with Max Barrick, who was the man who kind of got the Summicron rolling in the first place by designing the, and I have them here, Summar, the 50 F2, first 50 F2, the Summar, 1939, way back, as well as the Summiter, which was the next iteration of the formula, and of course this was through the mid to late 40s into the early 50s, and then he passed away, and then another group or another couple of designers produced the very first Summicron 50 F2. So it progressed through a decade and a half, basically, of Summar, Summiter, and then Summicron. Now I don't have the version 2.
What?
Summicron, which is the rigid, or they have another one called the dual range, which has a close focus, and you need goggles. Not goggles like I wear on my motorcycle, but goggles you wear on your rangefinder, and it helps with close focus. Because at the time, the nearest or the closest focus was a meter. So if you wanted to focus closer than that 1 meter, you needed an attachment to the front of the camera with these goggles to help adjust your view from that point. But anyway, what was it, 1952, Ernst Leitz was a little nervous with the political situation going on in Europe and whatnot, and the Soviets were saber rattling, and they were worried that they might move from East Germany and take West Germany as well. So the people at Leitz decided to move their production out of Germany to Canada.
Good day. How's it going? Okay. Boy.
That's Daddy's home and native land. Yeah, that's where I was born. And anyway, so 1952, they moved to Midland, Ontario, Canada, which is about, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe from Toronto, my home city. And again, Walter stayed too. And not only did he find success in working with the group in Canada, but he found he liked Canada as well, so he stayed there his life until retirement in 1985. Anyway, but he did his PhD in optimizing double Gauss designs. Excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Double Gauss designs using computer aid, and that was his PhD. But anyway, so he went on to design, again, over 45 different lenses. But for today's topic, we're talking about the Summicron V3 versus V4. No, don't fall down. Now, the version 3 was produced between 1969 and 1979.
Shakedown 1979.
And those were pretty rough years for Leica. I mean, the Japanese were kicking butt all over the place with their SLR market, both Canon and Nikon, Pentax, everybody was Olympus, everybody was rocking and rolling in that part of the world, and the German manufacturers were boo-hooing their way through that decade, going, oh my God, what are we going to do? So, Walter Mandler went about upgrading the Summicron version 2 into what we today call the version 3. Now, what that upgrade resulted in, the version 2 had 7 elements and 6 groups. Its close focus was a meter, he changed that to 6 elements in 5 groups and reduced that close focus to 70 centimeters, which is what, all they are. Even my current Summilux here is the same. Well, that went against what Leica fans were all about. They're like, oh my God, you can't go changing tradition,
No, no, no.
So, because of these changes they had made as well, they resulted in, more contrast, but the quality of the rendition kind of suffered according to everybody. But if you ever use a version 3, you'll find that it's still Leica quality. I mean, it's still just as good as anything else, but it just became the black sheep of the Summicron family, and everybody boo-booed on it.
Every single fucking thing about you is ugly.
Believe me, it is still a fine lens. It's sharp, has smooth transitions, 3D pop like everybody expects from a Leica lens. But it's, as I said, it's more contrasty than the previous versions, resulting in lifelike images. Now this was produced, again, Walter Mandler was the very first designer to use CAD, this is known as in the industry, which is computer aided drawing, to help with his designs. And his interests were in retrofocus and apochromatic corrections. Those were his geeky, nerdy part of him that were after those types of elements to focus on anyway. So again, the version 3, the difference between that and the version 4, because the version 4 was introduced in 1979 and went through to 1994. And the difference between version 3 and version 4,
Twins.
besides the years, were, as I already told you about the groups, 6 groups or 6 elements in 5 groups. Close focus was 70, 10 aperture blades, and the weight 200 grams. So that's the version 3. Now the version 4, again, had a physical change to it. It went from six elements in 4 groups, or it went from 6.5 down to 6.4. So it reduced. Close focus was the same. Reduced the aperture blades from 10 down to 8, and it was same with version 5 and whatnot. And reduced weight as well. Lost 5 grams. So it was 195 grams. And the hood too. It's got a spring. You see a spring-loaded hood that reverses. You put it on this way, or you can, when you're traveling with it, sits on top like that. So it was kind of a cool design. I mean, it's a cheapy hood, plastic. But again, this one was produced 1991, and yet this plastic is still just as robust as the day it was made. So it was obviously a higher quality plastic, and as everybody knows, Leica's all about metal and whatnot. So anyhow, those are the physical features of these. The version 4 is obviously, because it is redesigned and recalculated using computers, it's a much better performance out of the elements themselves. Reduced flaring.
Okay, and you're welcome.
Better rendition at closer distances. Reduced weight because they lost an element as well as a couple aperture blades, with the reversible hood and everything else. And as I said, it's the exact same as version 5, which has a telescoping hood, which is not all that great, to be honest with you.
It actually really sucks.
One, it's not very deep hood, and it doesn't lock in, so it obviously, it's very easy to close again. Because the other beauty of having hoods, anyways, is not only blocking out sunlight, but also as protection for the front element. If you bang into things, that hood can take the brunt of the abuse. As opposed to, you know, again, that telescoping hood, which doesn't lock in. It automatically, as soon as you tap it, boop, it's going to close up. And you may end up scratching your front element. So the version 4, in my opinion anyway, plus it has a tab. The other one, we just did a camera talk about focus tabs. The version 4 has a focus tab, whereas in the version 5 does not. Version 3 does not either, but as I explained in the focus tab video, it's because it has a long focus throw. Therefore, that focus tab isn't going to do you any good on the version 3. So, anyway, so let's do, well, like I normally do, is get you a shot of my Canon M50, which is recording this video. And what I do is focus in on the nameplate on the end of the kit lens, the 15 to 45 EFM lens, to see how, you know, how sharp I could get the writing. So let me do that. Well, first, let's switch positions there, Mr. Sony. I'll start with the version 3, since we'll go in chronological order. Get rid of that 35 Summilux FLE, which is a very nice lens, by the way, which is why it usually lives on the end of my camera. It's very, very convenient. All right, uh-oh is right. Okay, so what I'm going to do, before I do that though, let me change the profile. All right. So, I went to reach for the finger tab. There is none. Silly daddy, huh? All right. So let's see. Right there. Looks about good. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. So that was the Summicron version 3. Put all this down. See, having you here is not exactly convenient as far as my capabilities to be able to freely move things from one place to another, because you're kind of in the way. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's it. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Yeah. I know you know what I mean. You're very good at getting in the way of things. Yeah. All right. Let me take this hood off. Okay. All right. So now version 4. So same thing.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Let me get into the menu. Change it to the version 4. All right. Back into here.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Now, finger tab in place. Wow, it's almost exactly right where it should be. All right, ready, buddy? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that was the version 4. Okay. Now let's put all this stuff back together before you get your little hands on there. And I know you, you're going to want to be touching things, as you always do, especially after camera talk is over. Daddy's busy trying to clean up everything, and behind my back you start grabbing stuff left and right. Okay. So,
So.
Whatever.
that was version 3 and version 4. Doing the distance test, I'm about, I don't know, almost 2 meters, 1 3/4 away from the camera, so you can see how it focuses on the nameplate. Anyway, how about some real life pictures? And you know what that means, right? Real life meaning Dylan. That's right. So here's Dylan at 50mm f2 version 3. And what do you think of that? Looking good? So what kind of version is that?
Sorry.
No, I didn't say virgin.
Spank me. And spank me. And me. And me. Yes. Yes, you must give us all a good spanking.
Version. That's right. Well, how about, here's another one, to compare side by side. Here's Dylan at version 4, with version 4 at 50mm f2. Same, right? Ready? Go. Okay, so that was my little handsome man with our 2 Summicrons. Which version do you like?
I don't know.
You can leave a comment in the comment section below if you have a preference over version 3 versus version 4. I know there are those who lean one way or the other, thinking that, hey, I like my version because of this, or this, or I like the other version because of this, and that. And there's probably viewers out there who only have version 5 and they go, oh, I got but it's not really. The Apple, the version 6, is the perfect lens. But for a lot of us out there who, especially doing portraiture, we prefer to not have perfect lenses, and we like to have a little character in our lens. Whether that's the quality of the bokeh. That's one thing actually we didn't even talk about yet, did we? The Summicrons aren't exactly famous for bokeh. I mean, Summilux is the one that steals the spotlight as far as the quality of that out of focus background goes. But the Summicrons aren't bad. I mean, they, depending again on the conditions, some background, quality can look a little busy or a little messy maybe. But again, under the right circumstances, it can also look very painterly. And so it all just depends. But that's not why people buy Summicrons. It's not for the artistic quality of the lens itself. It's very lifelike. It's very much journalistic, or it's a great reporter lens. Street photography, getting out there and capturing life. Is what this lens is all about. Again, look how small they are. I mean, these are tiny, tiny lenses compared to. Well, this is an 85, but I mean, the size of this contact's 85mm, 1.4. Anyway, that's one of the benefits of the Summicron. So anyway, whether you like it or love it or hate it, Hey, everybody's got their opinion on things, right? What do you think? Do you think they're worth it?
I don't like the artsy fartsy thing. I think I hate it.
Would you buy one of these things? Would you? Yeah. If you had the money. You don't have any money yet. So, and when you do, you're going to give it to Daddy, right? Just kidding. No. You keep your money, mister. So anyhow, what else can I really say about these things? They're economical. I think for the version 3, I paid maybe $1,000 for it. For Leica land, that's pretty economical. The version 4 paid $16.90 for that. But again, the version 4 is much more sought after for a couple of reasons. One is the focus tab, and 2 is this the hood. It's a removable hood compared to the version 5, which has that telescoping hood. But anyway, so that is that. Can we recommend them? Sure. As far as, from a modesty photography point of view, if you can get something used, save yourself some money. That's the best way to go. And a lot of times the quality of these vintage lenses is pretty darn good, almost comparable to modern lenses. Maybe not modern Leica lenses, but other manufacturers out there, you put them side by side against some of the Canon and Nikon, Fuji lenses, they're going to do or perform fairly well for something that's 50 years old, yeah? So anyhow, that's that. How about our little plug for our photo editing software? Who do we use? Luminar. Luminar AI and Luminar Neo. Now, Luminar Neo is their latest, greatest version. Again, back to the versions that are out there. And it's a mix of Luminar 4 and Luminar AI. Now, what does AI mean? What does AI mean? You remember? You gonna tell us?
Sure.
What is the acronym? AI means 1, 2, 3.
No!
Oh, you silly goose. You're always goofing around with that. It means artificial intelligence. That's right, artificial intelligence. Now, Luminar Neo is full of artificial intelligence. And what does that do for you as a photographer if you're editing your photos? Well, it just helps to speed up your workflow. I mean, again, you could just, it's almost like putting your camera on program and just do everything AI if you wanted to. But you could pick and choose what AI you'd like help with. So you do things like dust and spot removal. So if you have a dirty sensor, it can identify the dirt spots, whether it's actual dust or whether it's sea spray if you're down at the beach or anything else that gets on your sensor, and remove them for you. You could have shots of, like if you're at the beach again, you're taking a photo of a lighthouse and there's seals flying around in the background. It's going to identify those seagulls as birds, and it's not going to remove them versus the spots that may be in the photo and get rid of those for you. How about power line removal? Everybody hates power lines, right? They're annoying, and you'd have to get your brush stroke out there, brushing, and erasing and everything. Well, this program will do it for you. Click, click, click. All done. And all done, maybe you might have to clean up around the edges a little, but it's pretty darn good at getting it. Background removal. Say you're doing some portraiture, got some pictures of Dylan, and got Daddy in the background, you want to get rid of him.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
You can do that. Click on your subject, and it'll analyze the photo, and AI will remove me from the background. You wish. You can get rid of me that easily. And there's other stuff in there too. I'm not going to go through them all, but you could look it up online. But if you want to purchase a copy, if you're in the market to get one and you want a discount, because I think it's $90, you want a discount, if you click on our link below in the description, it'll take you to the website, and it'll give you a $10 discount. That's only through our link though. So it'll be $80. And hey, why not, right? 80 bucks is not too expensive for software that can do a pretty good job on its own. Now, if you already own Lightroom and whatnot, you can use Luminar as a plugin, so you can go back and forth between the two and marry them up and have some even cooler stuff going on. So anyway, that's our plug for Luminar. And they're in the Ukraine. Everybody knows what's going on there. It's a company named Skylum. So they're dealing with the Putin gang. And nothing good is coming of that. But anyway, so you can help support them, because you download this thing, it's yours for life, and every single update or upgrade that they have is free. They just let you know, and the software will let you know every time you open it. It'll tell you there's a new upgrade available, and you download it, and voila, it's better than it was before. So anyhow, what else? How about we get people to support our channel? Because the more you support us, the more exposure we get out to the world, and the more subscribers we get. Because everybody wants to see Dylan, right? Coming back for more. So how about you help us out and subscribe? Uh-huh. Want to do this hand? Subscribe. How about your two hands? My two hands? Subscribe. That's right. What does YouTube like besides subscribers? They like the thumbs up, right? Yeah. You gotta put your thumb up. This one. Yeah. Thumbs up. If you give us a thumbs up, we'll give you a little taste of the Thumbs Up Girls. And what do the Thumbs Up Girls sing? Thumbs up. Do 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 do. Thumbs up. Okay, cute. Dylan's favorite part of the show. So anyhow, other than that, who are we? Are you Dylan? I'm Dr. Scott.
Here's Johnny.
Together we're all Modesty Photography. We're here to talk about tips and tricks about photography, vintage lenses, vintage cameras, camera systems, other lenses, camera stuff. Like last week we did focus tabs. Hey, we talk about just about anything. Not enough Dylan topics, I'm sure, to make him happy. But anyway, so someday we'll talk about bicycles and skateboards and stuff like that. But for now, it's all photography. So, why should people come back here? As Daddy always tells his students in university, you belong here. And where do they belong? What's the name of this show? What's the name of this show? This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott and Dylan. It's the most exciting part for you, isn't it? And Dylan.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for just being you. All right, ready to say bye-bye?
Bye.
I think that's it, right? Okay. See you next week. 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Here I am.